I am just so honored to be here. I was thinking about this morning coming, and I've been a Christian for a long time. I'm getting old. Some of us have been growing older together in this community. I don't know why, Randy, you and Dina don't seem to age, so I need to come hang out with you guys a little bit more. But my husband and I have been in this county for 40 years and involved in Christian community and Christian leadership. And I'm just so aware how we are all one body, aren't we? And we all serve a different part. And I love missions conferences, and so few churches gather like this. I mean, I've been involved with First Care for 30 years, and I used to do mission conferences all over the place. And, Randy, this is the first one we've been invited to in a while. And it makes me sad because, some people, Kelly, I love what you did. Where did Kelly go? I mean, just what she does with the children. We work in pro-life. You're going to hear other ministries. And your heart's going to be tugged at by maybe one or two things. And those are the things, as David was saying, that you're to be saying yes to. And so we're all a critical part of that. 30 years ago, I said yes to First Care. And I remember when I was talking to the director, she said something that David just really made me think of when he was talking. He said, if your heart hasn't been broken by the issue of abortion, it will be. When you really begin to understand what we have, as a country, have allowed to happen for 48 years, if it doesn't break our heart, it should. Because we have destroyed over 63 million, that's a conservative number, just in the United States alone during those years. And 94% of that is for the purpose of convenience. And I understand it. I considered an abortion myself when I was with my young son, who's now almost 40 years old. And so it's a very personal decision. Very few of us in this room have not been affected by it. It may be a part of your personal history and story, and if it is, my heart goes out to you, and I just assure you that God has forgiven you, and that one day you will see your children or your grandchildren, nieces and nephews, however your family has been impacted, you will see them in heaven one day. But I understand that it is a deeply, deeply personal situation. I also understand that what's happened in the 48 years that we've had abortion, that we now know that 1 in 5 pregnancies end in abortion. That's 20%. Isn't that incredible? And you know what? Over the years, that number just doesn't seem to change that much. It's startling. Many of y'all have seen this, that in New York City, it's 31%. That's 1 in 3. Can you even imagine? We know that 85% of women who have abortion are not married. So this is really a reflection of the culture we live in. I grew up graduated from college in '74. Abortion had just become legal. Planned Parenthood had just come on the scene. Feminism had just become a part of our world. And what was the message that we received, women? You can do it all. Y'all remember that commercial? What was it? Go out and make the bacon and fry it up in a pan or something ridiculous. Y'all remember? Okay, we're dating ourselves here, aren't we, David? But that's what we were told, and that story continues to this day. And so it goes to reason that a woman who isn't in a marriage is going to be much more at risk, because that's a cultural issue. We know that the African American community, and many of you may not know this, are 3 times more likely to have an abortion. And that was planned. That was planned by Planned Parenthood, who went after the African American community that are in the poor communities in the predominantly black areas of our country. That started almost 50 years ago, and it continues to this day. This is what we're facing. 40%, this has been a huge shift, guys, over the years. Today, 40% of abortions are not done as surgical procedures. They're done medically, 40%. That means that a woman, she can do it over telemedicine now. She can talk to a doctor. We've all done that, haven't we, with COVID? Well, they were doing that before COVID, and it's just exploded through COVID. She can talk to a doctor via the internet. He will prescribe her 2 pills. One will disrupt the placenta and kill the child, and the other will expel the child. If you've ever read stories of women who've gone through this horrific procedure, I can't even imagine what that's like, and 40% of abortions are done that way. And you know, I've been at this for 30 years. I've had my heart broken. I've cried many tears, having sat across a room from a young woman, counseled with her and pleaded with her and tried to educate her and love her that what she was carrying inside of her wasn't a blob of tissues, but it was a child. It was a little developing child, and all it needed was time and safety to grow in her womb. And then she would have chosen for different reasons to go ahead and have an abortion. It's heartbreaking. But I do know the good news is that when a woman comes to a pregnancy center like First Care, 75 to 80% of them consistently will choose life. Because see, it isn't an easy decision. Now, I was telling somebody before we talked, there's this 20-60-20 rule. 20% of the women that you talk to have bought the lie. You know, they're the ones that are card carrying, it's my body, it's my choice. They're the ones with the pink, funny little hats that they wear. You know, they're the ones that are just have bought the lie, have sold out, it's all about me. 20%, no matter what you say to them, they're going to carry that baby, no matter how bad their circumstances are, no matter if they're a teenager being kicked out of their home, no matter if the doctor's saying it could be a Down syndrome baby, no matter what. But that 60% are saying, oh my gosh, I wasn't planning to be pregnant, now I'm pregnant, what do I do? And so it's that 60% that we really target at First Care, and it's that 60% that many times all they need is some love and compassion to make a decision for life. See, there's two worldviews that are really propelling us through this. One is the sanctity of human life, and we all know what that is, that God created us. Psalms 139, my frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed were for me, when as yet there were none before. The sanctity of human life view believes in the sovereignty of God. We believe that when a baby is created, that God is there. And we also know that half of the times that happens, for that couple, for that woman, for that father involved, it's unplanned. So this is a very common problem. But if you believe in the sovereignty of God, if you surround yourself with people who say, this is hard, this is difficult, but the answer doesn't have to be taking the life of a child, then we see over and over again that women are willing to step in that, grab that faith that David talks so well about, and move into an unplanned pregnancy. And we have seen story of redemption after redemption. In just a second, you're going to see a short video that shows 3 women that experienced that. They were willing to grab onto that hold of faith, use the support that First Care and the local community gave them, and are so grateful for that. The opposing view is what we are hearing so much about right now. It's a humanistic worldview. It's saying, it's my body, it's my choice, I'm my own God, and I'm going to make my own decision. And those are the 2 opposing worldviews that we see all the time. First Care's been at this since 1983. We've had to adjust over the years. I know the most exciting thing we did in '96 was the advent of sonogram. We can no longer say it's a massive tissues. We see the child in the womb. Just recently, all of us, you'll hear a little bit about how COVID has impacted us. We went to telemedicine before the clinic appointment, and that has just been profound. 93% of abortions are done in the first 13 weeks. Many times, women now are finding out they're pregnant in 5 and 6 weeks, and they're seeking out help on the internet, which we have a huge presence. And now we're able to get in their path on the internet, and then after we've connected with them, confirmed a pregnancy test that they're doing at home, under our guidance, and they can come into one of our clinics throughout Palm Beach County for sonogram, for love, for care, for parenting classes. I want you to introduce you to 3 women and just listen to their stories. I think it'll give you a much better picture of what we do at First Care and why it's so important.
So I was 15 at the time, and I was dating my daughter's father, and at the time we were just, friends, and then I was a little naive on, consequences, obviously. And then, of course, something happened, I got pregnant.
Right before I found out that I was pregnant, I was pretty much homeless. I was in between living with friends, kind of bouncing around at the moment.
I was working, but it was on part-time level, so it was just not knowing where I'm going to find the money to support a baby. So all those questions was always in my head, and just not having anybody to talk to about it.
Well, I felt like there was a lot of pressure from my friends because they all had kids and they were all really pushing for me to have an abortion. So I think that had there not been first care and had there not been those options, then that could have been what happened.
I was terrified because, I had to tell my parents. I didn't want to tell my parents. They said, "Maria, I know you're pregnant," and I got really scared. My parents didn't want me to keep the baby at first. I couldn't understand why they didn't want me to keep the baby.
My boyfriend at the time, was not on board. He did not want to hear about a baby, nor wanted to have anything to do with it. So it was just more like, what am I going to do?
My friend said, "You should go there. They do free pregnancy tests." And so I went there and they told me, "Get in and get out because they're going to try to give you a bunch of Jesus stuff." So I went in and I met this lady, Donna. She was my counselor, and she wasn't going to let me just get in and get out. She was going to make sure that she shared the gospel with me.
I remember Diana, welcoming me in first care, and I just remember her just talking to me like my mom would talk to me, without being mad at me, of course, and just telling me, it's going to be okay, it's, your decision, but she gave me the positive things of keeping the baby.
Spoke to Lori, my lifesaver. I always tell her, she's my angel. And, after basically, a lengthy conversation, I decided that, I'm going to do it. I'm going at it alone. And, she gave me all the information, all the help. 8 months later, Michaela's here. And she just, this is my baby, this is my gift.
It's hard to believe that all that happened 17 years ago.
I'm gonna be in college next year.
And she's not a little baby anymore. She's practically grown now, and she's a senior, and she'll be hopefully heading to college next year, and thinking about her having a family one day and having her own children, and the fact that I'll be able to witness all of that is really special.
As soon as she was born, the whole room lit up. My dad was ecstatic. My mom was, I cut the umbilical cord. And from that day on, it was just happiness in my house.
At the end of the day, I look at this little face, I look at my life and what it has changed in my life, and never regret it. And again, it's because I was given the opportunity to change my mind.
You always got to see the babies, don't you? Psalms 127, we all know it. Children are heritage from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. That's what First Care does. We just, one woman at a time, one baby at a time. Randy, thank you to you in this church that has stood with us. We have a Walk for Life coming up. October 2nd, used to be in the spring. Everything's flipped on its head, hasn't it, because of COVID. Also, if you really don't know what I'm talking about, get one of these books. I'm sorry, I'm dropping everything here. Get one of these books on the back table. Randy Ericorn, Why Pro-Life? Get yourself educated, know what we're talking about. Thank you, and God bless y'all.